What up, world, and welcome to another episode of The Bright Side Show. As always, I'm your host, Steph, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Crystal.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you, my dear?
Hot.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's hot.
Blazing.
It's 100 degrees.
Yeah, blazing hip-hop R&B out this joint. This summer came back with a vengeance.
Right.
I don't know how we got here, but I'm hyped today because we got two very special guests. We got our good friends, the Sams, in the building.
Yay!
Coming from Sam's community.
The Sams, Samantha, and Samuel, right? I've never called you
Nobody
Sam.
ever
I was
called
like,
you
I need
Samuel.
to know. It's not
Ain't
just
nobody
Sam,
ever
right?
called you Sam.
Right.
Government.
But that's where we get the Sams from. Sam and Sam.
Real simple.
Yeah. Dang. How y'all feeling today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. It is a bit warm, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
It's okay. We'll
I'm
appreciate you
excited.
coming.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we definitely like I said, we definitely been trying to get y'all on here.
For a
And said
minute.
we've been we were lucky enough to do y'all show first,
Mhm.
and so now we got y'all on ours. Full circle.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You love to see it. You love to
Yes.
see it. So as always, we start every episode off with our "What in the World," where we talk about a current event that makes you say, "What in the world?" At the time of the filming of this, we are 2 days off of the assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Want to call it that, of the former president Donald Trump.
Wild.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd see the day where there'd be an assassination attempt. I just
Yeah.
thought that we were past that.
Yeah.
But here we are.
We are here.
Yeah.
Like we back. We back on this.
We back on
I
this.
thought we was done with that like the 60s and 70s, but here we are. We back on assassination attempts.
Yeah.
And for me, I guess I kind of looked at it as a, like, what, like, it's really like, how did we get here? How did we get here to the point where, and I think especially the difference between like our lifetime and like our parents is like, and grandparents.
Mhm.
I think Jimmy Carter might have been the last person to be shot, last president to be shot. Didn't die though. But the difference being like the news itself ran it, like tells a story.
Mhm.
And obviously the news has decorum in how they tell the story. They have a code that they gotta follow. In the social media era, I don't think it's ever been at the point where it's like you see so many people that like really do not care whether like
The
this
crazy
person lived
thing
or died.
is, I think I got a notification on my phone, and I think I like swiped up. I was like, oh, because it didn't say that he died. It just said that he got shot, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I didn't think about it until my friends brought it up later in a group text, and I was like, oh, I mean, I guess we should care.
It's tough.
I mean, at least he ain't died, so that's why I'm just like, I mean, he
I'm gonna say,
lived.
yeah.
Okay, next thing, but
Yeah.
the news is making quite it's a big deal because number
For
one,
sure.
how did that man even get access to do that in this day and age with that level of security? It just don't make sense, but
Math ain't mathing.
it's
But-
not mathing, but it happened. Well,
I don't want to say too much. We being monitored. This gonna be on YouTube. So
This will be a tracked episode.
you know, I
no
don't-
doubt.
yeah.
I don't wish death on no bad.
No.
I mean, that's just crazy. Honestly, I mean, I'm happy that he survived. I just think it's a wild story, and it seems doctored up a little bit. That's all I'm gonna say. Who knows? I feel sorry for the guy that got killed because he sounds like, I mean, well, that was a bad choice that he made, but he sounded like he was like really young. He was like just out of high school.
Very bad choice.
Yeah, and I think somebody else, a bystander too,
Yeah.
was killed.
Right. But I think with every president, for me, I always think there's going to be assassination attempt because they just gonna, like, there's always going to be that one person that wants to try. I was terrified when Obama was in office.
I don't even think there was an attempt for
Right,
him,
but
right?
you know,
I
mean,
was
there was
very
nothing-
afraid that would
right,
be the case.
You would, right?
So,
yeah.
but for this, yes, like when you see like the map of where the shooter was, where the military was, it's just like,
It's
no,
weird.
I don't know. I've never been to a rally. I don't know where they are stationed, but it is unfortunate for the people that did lose their lives.
Yeah.
Right.
But after this, it's just it's like his picture, like that famous shot that's going to go down.
Yeah.
He got a good photo op out of that.
Now, like 50 Cent is trending because they put his head on
Get Rich or Die Trying body. Yeah, I know.
Many men.
Listen, that's the thing about social media, because people will joke about anything. People will joke about somebody almost losing their life.
Right.
So.
And I can't say it's not funny though, just because of the memes that I have seen are pretty funny. Like, it's wild.
It's tough.
It's wild. But yeah, that photo op is something else.
It's tough.
It definitely seemed like a good opportunity. And now there's like trading cards. Trump assassination trading cards. Have you heard about that?
No.
Like, people are like trying to monetize this whole situation. I'm like, this thing. They really about to milk this. Trading cards? Come on.
Yeah.
But
he got sneakers.
He got sneakers.
Yeah.
If he sells them on his website, I'll be done.
But I guess for me, like I said, even like in the how do we get here, for me the biggest thing is like after the fact, and even before, but more so after, where it's like attempt was made on his life. I think it really spoke to like how divided that we are as a
nation
country,
is. Yeah.
and how we have we've gotten to the point, and I mean, obviously political ties and lines have always been there. But for me with this, I think I'm more so, it made me wonder, like, all right, we got here as a country is like being split, but it kind of put in perspective that I think we also we lost community as a country, but I think that we lost community as like a culture also. It's like, I think we're starting to drift further and further from that being like one of the anchors that holds us, that is something like we really like champion, and I feel like the village, like having a village and then taking a village, I feel like that was like preached heavily as like a kid. I remember it used to be like a little rap song, like, it takes a whole village to raise one child. Like,
what song was that?
I think it was called "It Takes a Village," but I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I think you made that up.
No, we used to have to rap that during like summer programs at church. So
BBS.
Yeah, that was a vacation Bible school special. That was an every year joint. But today, I think we say it, but we don't be in community with each other like that. And I like when it happened, especially coming up with One World, I'm like, it's perfect that y'all are coming, because I'm like, y'all are actively working to build community. And I guess I thought y'all to start, like, how did the idea of like the starting of Sam's Community come about?
Gotcha. So here's what I'll do. First, I'll just say, in terms of the what in the world, right? I think the thing for me that was the most bizarre was how I found out about the incident. To your point, we grew up in an era where breaking news, whatever program you're watching, all of a sudden it just stopped.
Right.
It comes in ABC, NBC, whatever, right? And like historically, that's how we would become aware of an incident like this.
Yeah.
For me, it was Twitter, right? And so seeing it on Twitter, I'm watching it and someone in a group chat makes a comment, and I'm watching it and I'm trying to make sense of what I am seeing. And I think the fact that it is on the same platform with everything else and there's no distinction.
Yeah.
My brain just didn't even process the gravity of it immediately.
What it was. Yeah.
This was a real attempt, and then to later find out that someone lost their life. It's just like, okay, again, it's just the way the whole thing was framed and presented. To your point, there was like a disconnect. For me, relating to the fact that this is a former president, and so it's like something that should never happen.
Right.
Yet it happens. And then in addition to it happening, the responses in real time, it's like it's immediately split in terms of what actually happened. Everyone has a perspective, as opposed to before where it's just like, we're reporting the news.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's like we're going to tell you what we think happened.
Right.
So it's like you're just letting everybody give their
opinion
on an event that you're still trying to process yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like we're all now all of a sudden first account reporters and breaking up the tapes ourselves to figure out what happened, because we don't trust the information that we're receiving, right? Like, I think that's another part of why we're trying to piece it together in our own minds, because we know that there are different stories that are being presented. And I think that does speak to the overall lack of community, right? Where before there was succinct messaging in the past, there was things that we could all rally around,
Yeah.
right? And now it's more wild, wild west, in my opinion.
Factual.
So I give that sort of like as a setup for why we thought about Sam's Community, where it originated. Originally, it started when we were just volunteering for our church, right? And the whole purpose was we wanted to engage the youth. It was about the young people. I felt that that was an area that I've always felt comfortable being around young people. I was trying to find an opportunity to serve within my church where I felt like it's who I am and I'm not putting on to do something because someone wants me to do something. It's like, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
It's like, how can I invest in the youth? And so we came up with an idea of a concept for children between the ages of 6th grade and 12th grade. And it's helping them identify their purpose and giving them a desire to pursue their passion, right? And it's simple, but we created a community around that, you know, and I just wanted to quickly acknowledge the fact that you guys got the best producer in the city. Ricky B. Philly is producing this show. Talk about community. He's one of our first mentors in Sam's Community, right? And so we would meet weekly, and what we found, listen, he's got a lot of gifts, man. You know, you just got to pull it out of him.
That's true. Ricky does everything.
Nah, he truly does.
He was there.
Yeah. But what we realized was that as much as our focus was the young people, it was the mentors coming together. Like, we bonded with each other when we met on a weekly basis. And then all of a sudden, the relationship with the teens, it was like, we're all in this together. Like, we're all getting something out of each time we meet, each experience. It's not just like we pour into you. It's
vice versa.
It's a cycle, you know, like we're all being fed in different ways. And so that was like the first inkling of like how a community can form. Then we go through a pandemic. We get married, we have children, right? Life be lifing. And we had to sit down for a second. But then in sitting down, one of the things that I observed was that we had the unique experience of having a child at the onset of the shutdown. So our son was born 1 week after the city of Philadelphia shut down. And so trying to manage the situation where you have a newborn at home, a 2-year-old. I was out and about trying to get all the groceries, resources, etc. And I would come back and let Samantha know like what it looked like out there.
But like, I don't believe you.
Right. She's like, you know, she give me a list.
I'm like,
listen, I'm gonna start taking pictures.
He had to.
I had to.
Look.
It's like I'm coming in the grocery store and the first 2 aisles are just water.
It sounded like it was wild out there. It sounded like a quiet
water
place.
aisle.
Right.
You know, but it was like straight necessities right up front. You know, like they rearranged everything. I'm like, Samantha, this is different. But the other piece was everyone was masked. Right. And so when you walked in a grocery store, you're just trying to get back home. You're not trying to socialize. You know, it's like everyone got the heebie-jeebies almost, you know, so it's like you're trying to come back unscathed. And I think what happened, unfortunately, is that because we were masked for so long, it started to set in. And that's how our conduct just became with one another, where we weren't engaging anymore, where we were willing just to walk past one another and not say hello. I mean, the city of Philly is hard enough anyway in terms of the head nods, but now it's like we all have a baked-in excuse to not acknowledge people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that part to me didn't roll back when things opened up. Like there was still a distance between people. And I think that's when we really thought about a new idea around what Sam's Community could be.
Right. And even like in the midst of the lockdown, we tried to reach out to just the mentors, like virtually, and see how that, like, you know, and then Sam started talking about like, you know, because he is a people person, like he is a social butterfly, like, so it was just like, okay, we're coming out of this, like social interaction was lacking. And again, like I was getting my brain with Coco Melon and and Amy. I'm just like, and yes, Sam was there to converse with, but it's just like, I need to talk to someone, like, you know, so we were coming out of the pandemic and he, you know, started forming like the vision and the idea. And I'm like, okay, I should hear where you're going. And then it was just like, oh, what if we have a dinners, you know, invite people, a small group, like, you know, and have intimate conversations, were adult conversations, like, no judgment, only rule, you have to be respectful. And at first, because, planning, you're thinking it's just like, oh, is this gonna, not even this gonna work, but it's just like, you're going through so much. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
And that first dinner, I even told all the guests that were there, like, this is worth it. Like, just to have this one night of conversation.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
not with the
children.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like, it was
It's
so,
engaging,
it
it
was
was
so
thoughtful.
refreshing because again, we were 2 years of
We missed it.
Right.
I mean, it's like you're not going to like local eateries, you're not going to bars and things, like you're not doing the regular social events. Like it's just
and
not
you don't know
happening.
when it's going to get back to normal or what that's going to look like.
And then even when the doors were opened up, people are still skeptical, so there's just like, I'm not going outside like that unless I know where I'm going. And so I think when we had our first dinner, just to feel the energy, to hear the conversations, to realize like the authenticity in terms of how genuine and open people were in exploring certain things, because we kind of framed the evening. But I think here's the biggest piece that I picked up, because, some things you do is trial and error. And so there's a message to the people. You just got to start. You got to start, because that's how you learn your lessons. You can't figure it out until you do it. So just start. So in us starting, in our second dinner, we actually had a whole group of friends, people who all knew each other. And it was fine. But what we realized is that there's something about the energy when you get a chance to meet somebody new. There's something even about a personal excitement when you're going out knowing you're going to meet new people, as opposed to it's just your crew in a different setting, right? Like there's nothing to take away from that, but there's something that is like, there's an excitement because you don't know what to expect.
And we also found out like people share more if you don't
know them, because you get a chance to tell someone
somebody
who you actually are.
Y'all know each other.
You skip all the steps, right?
Or you don't feel like you can share certain things, because it's like, I've known you for this long. Maybe you
feel like
now we're about to get deep.
Like Tanya be running her mouth, so I'm gonna keep that one.
But that's a really good point. It's like with someone you can, especially when it's already established that it's like a safe space. No judgment, and these people don't know you, so I could honestly let you know all my business. I might not see you again.
Exactly. Like, I mean, some of the things people have shared, it's just like they really just opened up. Where, like, this is a safe space. Like, somebody was like, I never shared this with other people, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, like, that was just refreshing, just to see other people be so relaxed to be able to have conversation.
Does anyone know, and I'm just asking a question, I've heard this, so I don't know, I can't verify, but I think there's something to it. Does anyone know why Jesus didn't perform miracles in Bethlehem?
My guess would be that Bible verse was like, a prophet is not honored in his own home.
They believed him to be a carpenter. That's who they believed him to be. So it's like the power that he had, he couldn't even activate there because there was no belief there. And so even think about sometimes when you're around a friend's group and there might be a passion or something in you that you want to explore, but you're around an audience where you don't feel they'll believe you. So you're not going to communicate in that setting what's really good, because there's non-belief around you. So I think that's the piece with deep. Sam's community that I'm really tapping into in terms of understanding who I am surrounded, so that the things I put out there, there's an energy where it can grow and flourish, and I think that is something we all need to take account of, because our environment, listen, I just listened to Mark Cuban talk about Zuckerberg and Facebook, and he said everything that Mark Zuckerberg did, if he was at Florida A&M, there'll be no Facebook. It wasn't just the idea. The idea had to be birthed in that room, in that setting where people in that setting where the money was, where it's like there something could turn into a Facebook, but it wouldn't have been anywhere. And so those are the things that we really have to acknowledge and take agency of, is like, we have to manage the environment that we're in. If we want to grow, we can't put ourselves on rocks and expect to grow. That there's no soil for us to be rooted, and so the hard part sometimes is to have relationships with the rocks and understand I still can't grow with you.
Yeah. That's the hard decision to make.
Damn. Oh, okay. I'm like,
Welcome to my two
Yo.
right.
yo.
So that to me is
your dad a
my
preacher or something?
awareness.
Where'd
I'm going through this phase of new understanding and revelation about how to achieve what God has placed in me to do, and the things I need to control to bring it to fruition.
Damn. Have a relationship with the rocks,
Even though you can't grow there.
He's deep.
And the crazy thing is though, is that as you were talking about it, when I first, I think it was 2016, 16ish, when I left like the school, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go like into like the acting stuff full time. I remember I didn't tell a soul.
Yeah.
I didn't tell a soul that I was going to do that. Like I was like, all right, see, Crystal knows, my mom knows,
right?
And I'm like, all right, we're going to keep this amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
And I remember when I finally told one of my friends, I told Charles. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna tell Charles. I'm like, please, Lord, don't let this nigga tell anybody. Like, and I remember one of my friends, a little while later, like we sitting in the house and he just starts like fishing because he knows. And he's waiting for me to say something. And I'm like laughing because like, I ain't saying nothing. Like, I'm not telling you. And he was like, oh, like, well, I know. He's like, well, why did you say it? And I'm like, it's because I couldn't at the time, I couldn't receive, and I couldn't be around the idea of like doubt trying to get thrown on there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and especially in a person where it's like, it's not like we have a relationship where it's like you see me do something enough where I'm like, you know what? I've seen you do this for a while. I don't think this is the best idea to do right now. That's one thing. But I'm like, you know nothing about me in this space.
Yeah.
So I can't take in your opinion right now because it's not valid right now.
Yeah.
And it will counteract what I am trying to do. It's more than just it not being valid. It can affect me in such a negative way
because you care
that
about
it doesn't
what they
come
think.
to fruition.
These are people that you care about their opinion, and when you allow that space to be so open for hearing like these perspectives of like, oh, I don't think you should be doing this, or you should be doing this, like you should be having, you know, a regular 9 to 5 or something like that. Then you start doubting yourself, and then you start changing the trajectory of really what you were intended to do.
Yeah, and even it could be whatever, but it's
based
like
on what other people
even the idea of like, I'm operating fully in faith right now, and it's like, and if you don't think that way, then you're not going to understand where I'm coming from.
You can't see it.
Yeah.
But it's said so, like, you know, so many people, like, especially like those moguls and, you know, people that have done something, they say do it in secret until it's accomplished, because again, you have people, even family, like, you know, family, friends that will say, oh, everybody's selling that, or everybody's doing that. How many people got a podcast? Like, you know, kind of thing. Right. So it's just like,
and I feel like they care about you. Like the family, they care about you, but I think they're scared for you because they don't want to see you fail.
Yeah. But part of it is their own limitation. Right. And at the end of the day, what I'm finding is like you can't see if it's not, it's like how you say, you can't see something that you're not the vibration of, right? Like if there's something that's in your spirit that you know is real, you have to protect it because it is something that is really in the balance still.
Yeah.
You know, and if you allow persons who aren't even in that realm to have access to it, all they can do is pull it down. They can't lift it up. They're not there to lift it up. Right. And so there's where you have to take that responsibility to see it to a point where you identify people who can lift this up. And there's who you start communicating with. And like I said, there'll be occasions where your circle will start to change and shift. And that's something you have to be okay with. Yeah. You know, you mentioned one thing really quickly just about, you know, the fact that we care about what others think. And even that, again, I'm doing a really deep dive in my belief systems right now. So even catching me on this podcast is kind of interesting because Samantha knows the exploration I'm going through. But even that, there's something that we believe to be true that allows us to care about what others think. We don't have to.
Yeah,
true.
We choose to care about what others think. And the reason we choose to is because there's something that we believe is true. And so that's something I'll say to the audience and to you all, as you all consider anything that you are passionate or have a strong opinion about, consider that there's a belief system in there that you might want to investigate just so that you know it for yourself. Because I'm of the opinion at this stage in life that events are just events. We determine if it's good or bad. The event by itself is neutral. It's just an experience. We're talking about the scenario with what in the world, right?
Yeah.
Some people look at it as a good thing. Some people look at it as a bad thing.
That's true.
It's just an event.
Yeah.
Right. And so we ascribe the value or determine based off of our belief system what it means.
Yeah. Things
aren't intrinsically bad or good. We determine the meaning based off our belief system. And so I'm in a space now when things happen, even things that originally I was like, oh no, this is not a good thing. It's like, stop, wait, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
What is it that I believe about this thing that makes me feel like it's a bad thing? And how can I reframe it? Because we always do. Think about like how we get over stuff that happened in the past. If the past didn't change, the event didn't change.
Right.
But all of a sudden we have a different perspective about actually, you know what? This helped me. This benefited me.
Yeah.
Before you were like, man, this was the worst thing. Now all of a sudden it's like, without this, I wouldn't even be what I am.
Right.
All it is just us having a different reframing an event that has not changed.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we can do that after the fact, what if you can do it in real time? That you never go through the period where you feel like this was the worst thing to happen, but you take it head on like, okay, this is for my benefit. How?
Wow.
And
you got to transform your mind. You got to
I'm about to
transform your
say
thinking.
that to me, that speaks directly to the all things work together for the good of those.
There it is,
like,
man.
It's the all things. And part of me has tried to start trying to change where it's like, okay, like, and I'll be just sitting with a guy like, what am I supposed to get from this? Because I'm not seeing it right now. Like, it looks terrible. It looks like it's like, it sucks. But clearly I'm supposed to get something from it because I don't believe that it's like, oh, this is just a happenstance thing that just came about. And it's like, oh, this is a shock to everybody. It's like, nah, it's just a shock to me. And now, like you said, what do I get from it? How do I take this and, like I said, go forward with it? And because I'm even as you're saying it, and I guess I want to go back to what you're saying, like the people that they're not there and they can't
lift it up.
They can't lift it up. And that's the beauty of it. And because even in that, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, even visually thinking of something like if it's here, even if you pulling it down, not for something bad, but even to just observe what it is.
They're just trying to see it. It's like, ooh, let me see. It's like a child that's pulling at something that they shouldn't pull at. It's like, no, not like that.
Yeah.
Like, I got to put you up here because you can actually damage it. But you're just trying to see. You're just trying to gain access. But you're not in a position to gain access.
Yeah. And that's...
So either I have to position you or we just got to wait until, because you can't get there. I can't allow you to try to access it because in your process, you're going to damage what I have.
You're interfering with my process. And in this moment, my process is more important. And and like I said, and I guess to me, speaking to, because even like I said, I remember they said, well, Mark, when I first told him, it was
that,
like,
you said his name.
No, I told him because I'm gonna give him credit though, because when we had the conversation, he kind of left it alone and just sat back and watched. And I'll say for me, one of the things that like really made me be like, oh dang, like this dude's really like my friend. But also one of the things that really like touched me in a way like, dang, like I'm doing something good is we were somewhere and he was talking to somebody else. And I heard him say, he was like, nah, he's like, it's fine. He's like, he's good at acting. He's like, but man, he's like, yo, like he could really like write. And I remember I heard, I was like, dang, like you paying attention?
That's really my like, friend.
Yeah, no, like it got me because I'm like, dang, like, and again, it's not a conversation we had.
Yo, that's dope, yo, because the way I interpret, so it again, information, the way I understood it, it was like he hurt, like he had belief in you, and maybe the reason he felt some sort of way that you didn't offer it the information is because maybe he realized that I haven't received everything in a way, but with this thing, I see it, you know? So it's like, even in you communicating, it was just like, wow, he's really taking it there. And it's like, this is something I saw in him. But at the same time, I understand that it might not be the easiest thing for him to convey when he's kind of taking those risks all the time
Right.
because
Yeah.
you know, sometimes, you know, as friends, we do digs and stuff,
Yeah.
but not every
Yeah.
time that we can take a dig, and not everything where we can take a dig.
Yeah.
Like that's the piece, and that's what we have to protect. There's certain things that's fair game. It's like, all right, whatever, y'all got it.
Yeah.
Other things, it's like, nah, I know that will penetrate me.
Yeah.
So until I am secure in this, then I can't just open it up for games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here as a teacher.
No.
So like they has you
So just in
For
case
those
that
didn't
wasn't
hear
heard.
that,
Yeah, I was
whoever
gonna say.
has your ear has your future. Do you remember who said it to you, Ricky?
My man.
Nehemiah Davis.
My man.
Shout out to you.
One and only. Neo.
But that's real. And so I guess and I guess it takes it to the point of like, so I wonder then, because and Samantha, you said it where it's like Sam was like I said, a social butterfly, but even more than that, I would say that I feel like you are, it's like be social, but you are very much so a connector of people and are good at that. And I think that that's a skill that goes under appreciated, because I think that most people assume just because you're social, you have the ability to actually get people
And connect.
to be in the same places and
Yeah.
actually connect.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between, like, let's say somebody that could just throw a party versus like organize a dinner and actually have it there.
And I think that speaks to their intentionality too, because it's like, yeah, you can have a gathering, you have friends over, but it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
How are we using that space and time that we have together?
It's planned out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen,
So
yeah.
we
It's
had
a
the pleasure of being at one of
Yeah,
like your
nah.
dinners, and I was like so impressed. I mean, we had such a great time.
I remember I was hyped.
we left
Like I was like,
this was
yo,
great.
like this was
Right.
Excellent.
we left tired. I mean, we
Right,
didn't leave
right.
until like 2 a.m.
There it is.
But it was a great experience.
But even with
Yeah.
that, it was just like, dang.
Ricky's like 2. That's it.
And I mean, we had some that left at 11. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
We've
Hit
had
on the
guests that
button.
left at
Yeah.
4:45.
Yeah.
Right?
Right,
Because
so,
that night
yes.
is a night where we are intentional. And I just want to say thank you for acknowledging the work that Samantha and myself, like, there is effort there. And I just want to say thank you, because we did research. Like, we read books on gathering, the art of gathering. You know, like, we researched and read through. And I thought one of the things that were fascinating is that there were components within the book that we were already implementing, not realizing that this is part of a conscious
Right.
way to host events, right? And so, to your point, a lot of times people have intentions of a certain experience. So it's like, I'm just going to put people in a room and it'll just happen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
nah.
And it's not how it
It's not
happens.
osmosis.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And so
Yeah.
I think we really picked up on that piece specifically. Like, we're guides. You know, we're going to usher people into a space and guide them through an experience.
Mhm.
And we just want to make sure that it's the right mix of people so that everybody kind of walks out feeling full.
Mhm.
And that's
Nice.
y'all did it. And that's why I'm interested to hear Sam, because I feel like you definitely probably were the leader on this. How did you, like,
The social
what was your
butterfly.
process? And because I feel like it's just something that I see with you, where it's like the process of like seeing the idea and then going from the place of like hearing the idea to like belief, and then being like, oh nah, this is legit. So I was like,
So, Sam, if you know him, you know he has big dreams, like, you know, ambition. I love it, you know. And he was telling me, again, we did Sam's Community as a mentorship, you know, and I felt that like that was fulfilling. And we were talking like, how can we revive this?
Yeah.
But then it was just like, we know like our age group, we needed pouring into. So it was just like, okay, so, you know, he's thinking of these ideas, and then he came to me with, I'm having dinners, like, you know, and conversations. Again, I got a newborn and a 2-year-old. Well, at this time, it's 3 and, you know, like 6 months, like, you know, and I'm like, it's great, but it's work. And like, this is going to be work for me, because you are the idea and I am the production. Like, I'm the project manager.
I'm the
The person behind the scenes, make sure everything go right. Yeah.
And she has a master's in administration.
So
and
it's like,
that's why we're a good team. I'm the
I'm
vision.
like,
She helps put the plan together.
okay, I'm like, I'm like, let's talk this out. plan this out, game plan, like how, structure, everything, what is needed. And I'm like, all right, we could do this. Like, then I'm like, oh, I get to dress up. It's funny because our first dinner, I took a picture and sent it to a friend. She was like, oh, you look like Claire Huxtable. I'm like, okay. So
that's what I was going for.
But I was like, okay, we can, let's see, let me pour into him. Let's see it, like, what happens. And again, like after the first dinner and us talking, like I just really had to even share with him, like going into it, like, oh, like this is a lot of work. I'm all day, like preparing everything, house, but to sit and to just hear like everything we worked on, like the breakdown, the questions, like, even the icebreaker I thought about, like really people were like, oh, like I'm just like, okay, like this, it felt fulfilling for me because I'm just like, this was a great evening. Like this was awesome. Like,
and to I think the other piece was you realized this was what people needed. We had an idea of how we thought people would receive it, but then to see them and to hear like you all and understand that we really are onto something here, that people are really yearning for these kinds of situations and scenarios. And we ended up to the point where we had to sort of adjust our mission statement, so the mission originally had to do a lot with sort of like the pursuit of passion and purpose. And I think now we'll never shy away from that. But I think the specific idea is to create experiences for genuine relationship building. And we're talking about community, like the whole conversation is community. Yeah. Creating experiences for genuine relationship building. And that is what our bread and butter is.
And another thing I noticed, like with the dinners or even like events that we've had, where it's like people may know each other, people may not. But like one dinner, someone was talking and just sharing. And at the end of like, because one, you don't come in saying, what you do. It's
right. Yeah. We don't ask for that.
That's not what this is. Yeah. But this woman was sharing and everything. And at the end, there was a therapist at the table and they exchanged information on their own. Like or you had people like that. It's like, oh, hey, I really like let's just hang out. Like y'all become friends. Like, or, see each other. Hey, like, so I think that is great where at the end you see people exchanging information because they connected with each other, during the dinner.
And that's the whole point.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And that's, I was saying, that's the thing. I feel like when you are doing things like that and you're seeing the need, you're seeing yourself like that, what you thought and hoped would happen came true. It was like you're watching the miracle happen.
Right.
You're watching that miracle happen. And I feel like it's going to what you said, the same as like when it comes to like pouring into and going back to this idea of community where it's like, it's so much easier to fill a cup if it's 3 people pouring from 3 cups than just one person trying to just dump all they have into one person. But because then somebody still is left empty. And I guess, so I want to kind of shift into like, how do you think we got so far away from that? Because I like
just culturally,
if the idea of and like God's calling us like for the cups to run over, not just be full, but it's like for us to literally pour into each other. But we see so much of culture is pushing us in the ways like, nah, this self-made. I built this from the ground up myself. Yeah, like I did. Nobody helped me with this. Nobody believed in me. And it's almost like people take pride in the fact that nobody did that. Like, I'm solo with self. Like I said, all of those type of things. And I think that culturally, like, we see more of just getting pushed in that direction. And I'm wondering, like, from y'all, like, from your point of view, how do you think we got to this place of just like we're losing it?
So, I mean, I would say like for the way I think it is like, okay, back in the day, you had community, you had village, tight knit, like you did something on the block. Anybody could tell you, like, family was tight. And then at some point, the shift was like my business. Like you said, I did this. I earned this. It's just me over here. Like even to where like, again, like the titles, like I'm just going to try to attach myself to where I'm trying to go, who's like connect me with their, like, and it's just like people became on a solo mission, like, and it's me against the world type thing.
Yeah.
And but in other cultures, like, they're still tight knit. So it's just strange, because also you have the people that are still like that, but are yearning for community in that village. I just feel like they're having a tough time dropping the, like, walls and barriers of needing others. Like,
it makes me wonder if, like, the breakdown of, like, the family model has something to do with that.
Probably so.
It's like, people's upbringing is like, you have these single parent households, and then you see, like, this parent having to do things themselves and to, you know, lift up their family on their own backs. And that's kind of where you get that mentality of, like, you know, I did this by myself. And then the child being raised in that, it's like they now have that perspective of, like, I have to do this by myself to get to where I need to go.
And like I said, I think it's even, because when I think of even, like, little stuff of, like, when I was going off to school, like, how many, like, aunts, and biological or not, where they'd be like, oh, like, we are sending him to college. It's not like, oh, Shannon, you doing this by yourself. It's like, nah, we are coming together. We sending him off because this is our baby.
He's a village.
And making sure that he's, like, good. Where it's like, why are we losing?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
we
sad.
We need those villages.
Yeah. I think so I have two responses to this. The first is, I think that we are in a society where being independent is the most virtuous quality of an adult. That's the message that I believe is being reinforced. That the most virtuous thing you can be as an adult is independent. And obviously that counters the whole concept of community.
Yes.
And I think even so, I think people are unintentionally going down a pathway to be adults, as the world is sort of conveying to them equals adulthood, not realizing that the road they are on is severing relationships and the desire to be interdependent and feel that, like, I come from a family, first generation, you know, in Philadelphia. And so we have a certain kind of relationship because we know we're first generation and it just exists. And it's something that we always lean on when we need to. And so it's the idea that I would pursue a pathway where I would choose to lose that connection because now I can stand on my own. It's a little bit foreign to me because of how I was brought up. But again, my parents were together 53 years. You know, it's like it's a different understanding of the world around me. Now, the other thing that I'll say, and it kind of speaks to Samantha's point about the person who desires community but realizes that community is not around them. So it's like sink or swim. I gotta do something here. I can't just be. And so I think about a conversation I had with a gentleman who was talking about the dating environment. And he used an analogy that stuck with me years ago. He said before, when you're dating, it's almost like people were in jobs like to get a pension, right? It's like, you know that they're in it for the long haul. You're trying to find that job. And once you got that job, you plan the rest of your life because you know you and that job are tied to the hip throughout, right? And then at the end, you get your pension, etc. And now the dating environment where it's like everyone's an entrepreneur, right? And so it's like, listen, this gentleman who shared this with me a few years ago, he knew what he was talking about. So he was saying everyone's an entrepreneur, right? And being an entrepreneur, it's like, you know that you're in it for the agreement of that deal. Right? Like whatever this transaction is what it is. And I know that I don't have any responsibility for us or you outside of what we are agreeing to in this moment. And so it's like, how do I, to your point, protect myself if I desire something more and I know I'm only being offered this one transactional kind of entrepreneurial pursuit?
Yeah.
knowing there's an end date in this, right? And that this person, because they're an entrepreneur, they're going to pivot to something else because you got to keep finding the thing, right? And so that's what dating seems to be, where people are much more conscious about the fact that there's something else.
Yeah.
Even while they're in an experience, there's an awareness that I got to keep all the pots on the burner because, you know, an entrepreneur can't just sit back on their laurels. They got to keep grinding and figure out what is next. And I think in the world where independence becomes the virtue of adulthood, then you almost are in a space where that becomes your behavior, and it impacts everything. You know, it's not just dating. It impacts the ability to create community.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer trying to connect for the long haul. You're not thinking about the pension. It's just parking.
Yeah.
You know, so that to me, I think is part of why we don't see community the way we have in the past.
I find it interesting how you said, like, you know, again, how you were raised, your family dynamic. And I'm just thinking, like, me, single mother raised me. I have a large family, but we were siloed, basically. Like, it's just like, I again, where we were married for quite some time, where it was just like, I can help you. Leave the bags in the car. And I'm like, I do it. Right. Like,
folks, it took 5 years. It was 5 years before. It was 5 years before she came home, saw my car outside, and just called and said I'm outside.
I don't think it's that long. But I'm
5
just
years.
saying, like,
prior to that, she would come in. She would have bags on her head. All her arms would be bags.
Because ain't nobody taking 2 trips. Ain't nobody taking 2 trips.
It's like, I'm inside. What are you doing? It's like, because y'all think about me, it's like, you know, I know how my mom raised me. So it's like my neighbors are seeing my wife come in the house with 18 bags, and I'm just sitting chilling. I'm thinking, like, this doesn't make sense.
Because, all right, so again, single mother, you could do, and then I was single for a long time. So it's like, okay.
This is how I operate.
It was just like, I can do this on my own if I need you to do something. And it's just like, in this marriage, communication and just learning, it's like, I have adjusted and shifted, because even with being only child, single mother, I longed for family and community. Because, like, I have friends where it's like, they're my family. Like, you're glued to me forever kind of thing.
Same here.
So it's just like.
But that's, I think also, though, if just to, not to cut you off, Jesus made friends family. Like that's, you know, woman, behold thy son. So for the idea that we have friends that are family, I think is part of the design of us. That's why community is so important. There are people that that are not part of our blood, that are our family, that's out there. They're out there, folks. But if you don't connect, if you're not trying to engage, you'll never meet your family. Think about that.
I didn't.
You'll never meet your family.
Like,
you'll never meet your family.
That's good. That's good.
He got some gems.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, goodness gracious.
Listen, I'm thinking about him like, oh, that's a clip. That's a clip.
No, but it's crazy to think of that though. Like,
it's
that,
real. I
guess, like, the pride that you take in, like you said, that independence, and it's like you are holding yourself back from, like you said, not even just like opportunity, whatever, but like your actual family, the people that will, like you said, kind of lock arms and be like, we're gonna walk this thing out together. Like,
you don't even give someone a chance to stand tall for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you never can know what a relationship can be made of, because you never give them an opportunity where there's a need, where someone can meet you, realize like, wow, you stood up for me. You heard him say something about me. Like, you never, you know what I mean? Like, you never take those risks with people where you don't know what it could be. Because you're trying to play it safe. You know, so it's not that you're doing it because you don't care about people. You're thinking about your best interest. But I just can assure you, take the leap of faith. Faith is a real thing. There's things that we have to explore that's outside of what we're comfortable doing. And when we do that, you'll be amazed as to what else is out there.
And that's, like I said, it's crazy, because even when I go back to, and obviously I think marriage plays a big part in it, because even when I think about like how I came into New Covenant, I remember, like, in my mind, I'm like, the church I came in, like, grew up in, I was like, we were like family. So when I was coming in a New Covenant, I was like, I don't want to know nobody here. I'm here just for the word, and I'm out. Like, I ain't trying to make no friends. I ain't trying to do none of this. Like, I'm here for church.
I don't want to know nobody.
And y'all be crystal homies. I ain't doing this. And then it's like, but like that was like, and I guess it's like self-preservation and pride for sure for myself.
Definitely
but then
pride.
it's like when I look at like where we are today, even like having this conversation to people in this room, I'm like, gotta open up.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here thinking
about
like, dang,
that.
what would I be missing out on if we didn't have these things?
Think about
Yeah.
that.
Right. I mean, I had to open up
Think
in
about
our
that.
neighborhood because I was like, "Hi, neighbor." I'm like, "Where we living? Mayberry?" Like, I'm like, you know, you may talk to the old lady on your block,
Yeah.
but not everybody.
Right.
Oh, we having a cookout. Come on down, like you know.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
I'm just like, I like this, and
Yeah.
Sam will point out I be giving out the baked goods, but I'm just like, okay, I can get used to this, you know. Like, be nice.
She said she get used to being nice. She get used to this being nice. Wow.
Man, that's real though. Cause I even think about that where it's like, dang, like when we move somewhere, it's like we really gonna have to like open up. So they're just like, oh, I know the dude lives here, but I don't know this dude. Like,
Right.
I feel like we've kind of started to do that now, like with our neighbor.
yeah, shout out Miss
Miss
Darlene.
Darlene. Shout out to Miss Darlene. And she's like,
Jan, whole gang.
and her daughter
Yeah.
is like, that's really the only people that we talk to. But
Right.
it's nice to feel like we look out for each other. Like
Yeah.
she'll be
Right.
like, you got a package outside. She'll call me, go get your package. She'll let me know when they're going away for the weekend so that we can like, look out, make sure,
Get the mail and
no
all
funny
that,
business
yeah.
with their house and all that stuff. And I'm like, this is like, it's nice.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's nice.
and I
Yeah.
must say, and I guess it even speaks to like where we were, because it's like she moved in, and I remember when she came and introduced herself, and I think your mom also like went and like introduced. I'm like, don't do that.
Like, we don't know these
We don't know these people. Like, and that was my yeah. I'm like,
We definitely said that. We was
was like,
we don't do that here.
Get back in the house,
Right.
And I'm just like, it makes sense though. One, because they come from that generation of like
Yeah.
wanting
Yeah.
and almost
looking
like,
out.
yeah, like
Yeah.
that building and initiating of the community is like
Yeah.
that's in them already
Right.
because they're older. And also I think that, well, because Mr. Orleans from the South, might be from Jamaica, I think culturally both of those things are just like, nah, like we gotta
look out for each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
We gotta
Yeah.
like
we gotta stick together.
right.
Yeah.
And that's
We need to be like
Yeah.
you need to
Yes.
build together. You
Yeah.
need to work together, cultivate. Like
Yeah.
people need people.
There's power. There's power with people, man.
Yeah.
Like it's as much as someone feels they can accomplish alone, when two or three are gathered together. It's a
Yeah.
real thing.
Facts.
so I guess I want to hear from both of y'all. Like, what advice would you give to someone that is trying to seek these relationships, trying to seek community, but you don't know where to find it, you don't know how to come across it, and it might be something like we were talking earlier, where it's like it's one thing to be social, but the having the intentionality in those relationships. How would you advise someone about going about even finding it, even if it's like one other person that you're like coming in contact with or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Or starting their own thing.
Starting
Yeah.
your own.
I would say step out of your comfort zone.
Mm.
Like that's the first thing. Because I was even talking to a coworker and she was so excited where she is thinking about a friend invited her to their church and she's like, I never did it. Like,
Yeah.
But it's just like step out your comfort zone. If
Yeah.
someone invites you somewhere, say yes.
Mm.
Like, check it out. You
Mhm.
never, you don't gotta go back. If you know what I mean? But just
right.
Yeah.
check it out. Like, try different things. Cause again, you're used to what you normally do. And if it's not giving you your results, like try something different.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, like, single life now, but I just know like socially, like there are things and like connections, like there's things happening in the city where it's just like, oh, watch a movie on a rooftop. You never know.
Yeah.
Share a blanket with somebody or just be, I know there are a lot of introverts out there, so you don't have to be overly, but like just step into the room. You never know like
That's
who you
good.
may
Step
meet.
into the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your first question, second question, oh, what do you do? Who
Yeah.
you know?
Who do you know?
Seriously.
Seriously.
Don't even worry about that.
Yeah.
Ask their name,
Yeah.
because I'm crazy
Yeah.
out here. But you don't have to, no one cares what anyone's doing, like, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Just get to know them deeper than
Yes.
So I have a couple ways I would answer this. The first is you be yourself.
Mhm.
Put the representative away
Yes.
for good.
Right.
For good.
That's what I was about to
Like
say.
put the
Yeah.
representative away for good. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you, right? Because at the end of the day, somebody's going to meet you and not meet you.
Mm.
It doesn't serve you.
Mm.
So put the representative away for good and be confident in the fact that you are fearfully and wonderfully made,
Mm.
right? And so part, I think, of when you're in your true self, like even what you give off is different. When someone sees that you know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Yeah.
know when you're in a room with somebody who knows who they are.
Yeah.
You can see it. You can sense it.
Yeah.
The way they interact with people, certain things just kind of, well, it won't even affect them because they understand who they are, right? And then
Yeah.
they won't even try to put on to be something they're not.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to play those games
Yeah.
at all, right? And you observe it. And I think we all should be operating in that sort of freedom. So that's the first thing. The second thing, similar to the idea of getting outside of your comfort zone, understand what your interests are, and find maybe the different types of groups or activities that are doing those things.
Right.
Because personally, I know when we talked on our show, I talked about the whole dating dynamic, and I feel like that's not really a recipe for long-term relationships
Mhm.
because we're talking about community, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that we can identify family, people who will become family.
Yeah.
And the way you identify those people is not through dating them.
Mm.
That's not how they became family to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
They saw you for you.
Yeah.
You guys were able to just be who you were in spaces, and through the interaction and engagement, you realize like, wow, I see the character of this person. I understand the nature of this person. This person's solid.
Yeah.
And that's why you guys decided that this is something that you all want to link for life,
Mhm.
right? So why would that be different when it comes to a spouse? Like,
Yeah.
why are we all of a sudden going to put on our representative and be the best versions of ourselves
Right.
when we're making a long lifetime decision?
Yeah.
Right.
You need to know who I am.
Right.
And so, like, let's put all that away, be authentically you. And I think a lot of times, quite frankly, I think that because again, the world has conditioned us to look at independence as a virtue, more than likely, we've been around our spouse the whole time.
Mm.
We've hanging out with them, growing up with them, like they know us, we know them, they know the most certain things about them and us and vice versa. They have your best interest. Like those are people that you could have decided to make a life with, but the world is convincing you that your spouse looks a certain kind of way.
Mm.
And a lot of times it's not real.
Right.
And so you keep looking for something that doesn't really, it's not
Exists.
really obtainable.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your right-hand man and your right-hand woman was right there the whole time.
Right.
Yep.
And so that to me is, I think, my recommendation for people is put the facade away, put the representative away. If someone's not feeling you, that's a good thing. Now you know.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, reframe your mind in terms of your own experiences. Think that things are supposed to work for your good. So whatever information you receive, have the belief system of, okay, why is this happening that's supposed to benefit me? And if people think that I'm awkward, then that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. They're not my folks.
I'm not
and
for it,
and I
you
know
know?
it.
Right.
And the beautiful thing is you'll be more free once you're around people that aren't
You're
going
Yeah.
to believe in who you are anyway.
Yeah.
There's a reason Jesus didn't perform miracles in Bethlehem.
Huh.
Yeah. Jeez. Nah, what do you
It
say?
had nothing to do with him.
Everything to do with the people. Yeah. And that's like it's funny but not funny, and even coming into this episode, like I thought it, and talking to both of y'all really confirmed it. It's crazy that, like, for me, like, and looking at the both of y'all, I was like, I don't find it coincidence from, like, your parents, I was like, started the church, and in starting the church, they built a huge community
Mm.
because that's what it is. And so when I see the two of y'all, I'm like, damn, y'all really walking in their footsteps
Mm.
as a unit. And I'm like, I'm seeing it, and again, I don't know what that means. I don't know
I
what
receive it,
that
man.
goes
Right.
going
I
forward.
receive
But
it.
it's
Yeah.
like when I
That's a
see y'all,
compliment.
I'm like, y'all are doing the exact same thing. It looks different, but it's still like, and God is still at the center of it. And
Yeah.
and it's building it just in a different place. And I'm like, for me, looking at things like that, I'm like seeing like that's not coincidence. That's truly
Purpose.
yes, yes.
You know, and I think the beautiful thing about purpose is that even though it's not even the fact that you feel like it's preconceived, right? Like you can't deviate from the purpose, but it's really about it's who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's something about you that makes you you. Find that thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that it's not as like you find your purpose like, oh man, I can't believe this is my purpose. No, you'll be excited when you find your purpose. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why do you sign me up for this? It's like, no, when you're in your purpose, you'll be in the fullness of yourself. Right. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
They understand the call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like I said, it's tough, and I'm glad you said it, because I know I'll be.
That's why Sam's community is not that. I'm just saying. You know, put that on wax. You know, Sam's community. It's not that. But I'm in my purpose though.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you said that, because I feel like I was having a week where I'm like, God, oh man, this sucks. Like,
yeah,
like because it's more so just like having an idea of like, all right, like I'm here now. What? Like, tell me what to do. But it reminds me to go back to like the times, like you said, when you're in your purpose. One, I would say, I feel like you've communed with God way different when you're doing that, and like you actually like.
It's like you're buzzing, man. Like there's just like this energy that you can't even. It's hard to describe. Like it's almost an out of body experience. It's like you almost see yourself just like moving, shaking, working. It's like, wow, that's me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you're watching yourself do all the things that you were talking about for a while.
Yeah.
And now it's happening. It's like, whoa. It's almost like you're along for the ride because it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's the fulfillment of it.
Yeah.
And it's like we can't let it go and then become dormant. Like, oh, that was great. Let me just, what an experience to sit back. You next thing you know, it's 3 weeks have passed.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're not actively, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
I think also like as a spouse to see like your spouse living in their purpose or
that's fulfilling too.
Right. Like it's just like
right.
Like, okay. Like I'm not there yet.
Right. But it's inspiring to see.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's just like
it motivates you to want to find your purpose so that you have that same fulfillment.
Yeah, and it's just great. Like, because it's just like you see them, the happiness and just like the ideas. And I just, even for friends, like I say relationship because again, I'm with him every day, but it's even like friends, when you see them flourishing and thriving because they are doing their purpose or they finally
took that leap of faith.
Right. It's just like, it's just so great. We all want everybody to win.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
absolutely.
That's real. And that's like say, even that purpose, I look at, I take it back, because I'm like, I feel like operating in that purpose has helped me get to the space of like community with literally everybody in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't being obedient. It was like, me and Ricky might have been cool, but we might have just been cool, had a drink together here and there.
Right.
That'd have been the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with where it's like, oh, like we might hang out sometimes, but it's like we'll be to have the conversations that we've had on multiple occasions now, whether it be on, like I said, being on y'all show, being at the dinners, even I think the first time we chill was like just at the crib.
Right.
Just having it but having a real conversation. Mm-hmm. And it's like, dang, like I guess I'm sort of speaking to myself, like, look, pay attention. Like and like really but see it and truly take the time to like operate in it.
Yeah.
And accept, like I said, almost like be vulnerable enough to be like, you know what? If these people with you, then like say how you feeling.
Yeah.
Say like this. Like
do it.
Those kind of things. Yeah.
That's it's funny you just said that. I sent Samantha a video clip of this cartoon. It's anime that I was watching. And this character needed to perform a task and his friends were unconscious. And he's like, man, I don't have power because they're not conscious. It's like I need them to believe in me, but they're unconscious. Right. So what you just said is like when you're around people and you feel it, like that's the belief that you are feeling that's coming from them. So move in that, like seize that opportunity. That's a real thing. Like they are sending you something that you are sensing. Use it to take that leap of faith to do. right? Because only you can hold it back at that point. Because the crazy thing is you're actually holding it back.
Yeah.
It's like it wants to leap out of you and you tell yourself no. It wants to leap out of you and you tell yourself no. It's not even like it's pulling teeth to get it out. It's like you're pulling the teeth to get it back in. So that to me is the other component of like realizing it's important to know who you're around. Because if I'm around people where I get that feeling that something wants to keep leaping out of me, I'm gonna keep putting myself in that setting.
Yeah.
And if around people where it's like it's the opposite, I'm gonna take account of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to pay attention to your circles.
Got to.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention to
We're responsible for that.
Nah, for sure. This is what we back to back on like episodes where I feel like everything has been said. Like no, like seriously, whereas like we kind of left nothing off the table. Like we gave every bit of offering that we had to give. It's not the joint where you got to be like, all right, we need one more go round. Like, nah, like no, you know what I mean? Like though, but like so
it's complete.
Just $50 more.
Yeah, like nah, like this is
good.
So
Yeah.
as always,
Listen, we appreciate the opportunity
Yes,
to come
thank
down
you.
and share.
yeah,
You know, and again, it's funny because I was sharing with Samantha. I was like, I can't wait for today's show because you know where I'm at in my life right now.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm going through. So the idea that I can talk about it, I can't wait because I know it's for someone else.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was about to say no, and that's why even like I said,
And then they could tap back in and we can continue to grow together. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's not like just to someone
It's
else to
just
be
one-
out there and
yeah,
walk away.
yeah,
It's like,
it's
no,
like-
it's
bring it
cyclical.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's how community is formed. Like we all
Yeah.
kind of thinking this thing and let's get these thoughts together and just mine them out.
yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
that's
And
how
Sans Community will keep creating those experiences for us
Right.
to have those engagements. You know, we
Sure.
got something coming up.
Yes.
for sure.
What y'all got coming
Oh,
up?
let's say what y'all got.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, for
We
the
gonna
summer.
plug in there.
Sure. So August 18th, Sunday, we're tubing, Sam's Community Adventure, tubing
Ooh.
outing. Yes,
And
it
and it's a
is.
Sunday and I understand sort of like the conflict of a Sunday. But I
Yes.
also realize one, you know, that I can't shy away from the experience I believe God is going to have for us out there on the water that day.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I almost think it's appropriate that it's a Sunday. And
Yes.
so it's going to be a Sunday. It's adult only, but we're going tubing. It's a great experience. Please see us on our social media,
Yep.
Sam's Community for details. We would love for you all to come out. Just a time out on the water. Good folks, good people, adult fun, safe fun.
Yes.
I'm about saying we will post. We'll put the Instagram.
Oh, good look.
And anything else
Oh,
on,
yeah.
on the video.
Okay.
And the details of the thing. Yeah, no, like we be actually promoting our people stuff.
There we
Like,
go.
we want other people to have like the experience that we have, especially knowing that like you're doing a good thing for the right reasons. Like,
Yeah.
why would
It's a great event
Yeah.
because it's like you're relaxing, we're giggling, we're laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a
Be
good-
yourself. Like there's
Right,
no
yeah.
reason
Yeah.
to be tight,
at
you know,
all.
unless you're not comfortable around water.
Yeah.
A little tight.
But
Yeah.
you like best.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, to me, I think, you know, your guard's down, you're just yourself. And I
Yeah.
think that's, again,
It's easy.
trying to create unique experience for genuine relationship building.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's summer. So we have like these beach bags and multiple
Totes.
colors, these
Mhm.
totes. If you're interested, you can DM us.
And it says Sans Community.
It
Can we show the
does.
logo real quick? We got the
Sure.
strap in the way.
Yes. So this
Fresh
logo, yes, was
That is
Sam
cute.
like, you know,
Yeah.
one and only Sam's Community logo. Can carry, got a zipper.
Yes.
All right. So
the older
Keep
I
the
get,
content
Right.
secure.
I was about to say I've never felt more like an old man than when I be appreciating zippers. Like,
Right.
I never
Yes.
felt
Right.
like,
Security is paramount, man.
Yes.
Being
Yes.
cool, you be cool if you want. I need
yeah,
security,
nah.
man.
I was like, I need my.
Listen.
I need to know where my things are.
Exactly,
Sure.
that they're going to
Okay.
stay there
Yes.
And we're
by
also-
design. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
We're another falling out. And we're also developing Sam's Community Talk questions.
That's right, our conversation card. So again,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's
Did you
really.
bring them?
I didn't bring my sample, folks. My apologies, but we will
Okay.
absolutely
Right.
get the information to you. We've have a prototype. We've rolled it out our summer social last year.
Yep.
They could be icebreakers. It could be, you know, conversation around relationships, marriage.
can
I mean,
use
there's
it
a
on
whole
a
host
date.
of categories.
Oh,
Yes.
Like, yes,
Yeah,
we have done
yeah.
that.
They work.
We going
They
on a
work.
They
date.
work.
Yeah,
They
I
work.
mean, 8
And
years
it's all
in, we still trying to know
self-exploration.
each other.
It's self-exploration, you know, so you get to explore yourself around others. So that's why, again, it's important to know the company you keep.
Yes.
Yes.
That's real. And so, like I said, before we get out of here, we end as always with Sam and Sam, the bright
Thank
side of
you.
community.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Bright side.
What's from y'all perspective?
Your bright side of having
What's the bright
community.
side of having community?
Oh, the bright side?
Yeah.
I think we're designed this way. I think the bright side is that we're fulfilling the call of the power that is bestowed on all of us. There's power in community. And so that is the bright side of realizing that you're tapping into a resource. You're literally tapping into a light. And it can fuel you and it will feed you. And it's something that will support and can be sustaining. So that to me is the bright side of community.
Yes.
Yes.
Ditto. Right. Ditto. Again, yes. The bright side is people need people. You need to open up to let your light shine. And I, echo everything Sam said because he's the word wizard.
Love it.
And like I said, we truly thank y'all for coming.
Yes,
today.
thank you
Truly
guys.
thank y'all for coming.
It was so fun.
This was definitely like
this was
is
great.
one of the-
Like I said, you got the best producer in
All
right.
doing the show.
Yes.
So how could we turn down an invitation?
Nationwide.
Right.
He be getting flued out.
Right, I'm about to say.
That's how you know.
Countries.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I said, we thank y'all again for coming through.
But I just gotta acknowledge him. Talk about walking your purpose, right? Like, I mean,
That's real.
we've seen the growth, right? And so to me, it's just an example of a person who said, I'm going to live out loud
Yes.
and be myself, and think of how many people were attracted to that light, right? And then I gotta also acknowledge the work he does to develop himself, because that's also part of it, folks. You got to put in the hours.
Yeah. Right.
You can't skip that step, right? So as much as we feel encouraged and invigorated, you got to do something with that energy and put it in hours of development of whatever it is. You got to do the work.
Yeah.
But the work is different when you know your why and you feel good about it. But don't skip the steps. Do the work.
Don't skip the step. Hashtag.
Do the
I'm
work.
about to say hashtag don't skip the steps. Go on the screen, right?
I'm gonna do that too.
That's real. And like
do
I
the
said,
work, it'll be.
Right.
If you don't do the work,
that'll also show.
You know what I'm saying?
That'll also show.
It sure will.
Yeah, but like I said, I will never not acknowledge that this show is 100% a byproduct of Ricky's obedience of doing what he was supposed to do, and it trickling through to other people. So,
and we're here though because we were doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Ricky would have had 4 different people on his couch. Because Ricky can only be in control of what Ricky's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So if we weren't doing what we were supposed to do, he would have a different audience here. So we also have to understand the fact that we are taking the steps as well. And that's why we're all in this room together.
Wow. Amen to that.
Amen. That's the end.
That's the end.
Benediction. That's I'm like, I love you. You ain't gotta say nothing else after that. Like I said, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, everything is the Bright Side Show 23 on Instagram. The Bright Side Show 23 at gmail.com for like I said, if you want to reach out to us, if you want to even reach out to the Sams, just hit us up. If there's something that you didn't get and want to get in contact with them, we can make that happen. So we catch y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.